everybody, this is Michael Leveris from JurisQ.com, a legal network where we bring you different attorneys from different fields to discuss legal questions, frequently asked legal questions, and to digest current events in legal arena. And today we have the honor, the pleasure of having with us a very preeminent attorney, Jamie Wright from Los Angeles, California. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy attorney, but we had to bring you in because there's so much going on right now in the news that I want to discuss with you. I know that primarily you do labor law, you do sexual harassment claims, you also do personal injury, civil litigation, and big news came out yesterday regarding Alex Jones trial.
Yeah.
So I want to digest that for everybody to put it in simple terms, what happened and what can we expect. So as we know, Alex Jones, he was a podcaster, and he still is, and he has been involved in some conspiracy theories. And for one of them, he actually is going to get punished, looks like. Looks like he's going to have to pay.
Yeah.
The news came out yesterday, Jamie, that he was ordered to pay the victims, the parents of Sandy Hook Massacre, where unfortunately, terrible thing happened. 20 elementary school kids were massacred in cold blood. And Alex Jones was saying it's a conspiracy, it was all staged, it's not real. And some of the parents got fed up of these lies and they sued Alex Jones. So let's start off with that.
Yeah.
What connection does Alex Jones have to this massacre? What right did the parents have to sue him to what happened to their kids?
So defamation. Defamation 101 is what this is. And basically what that means is that either spoken word, in some cases it's written, but typically in his case, it's spoken word.
Right.
And they made statements that they know to be false, knowingly made the statements and they were false, and it caused damage to the plaintiff. And so in this case, Alex Jones was saying that the Sandy Hook, what happened in Sandy Hook was a hoax. And, you know, there's a higher standard typically for a public figure, but him saying it's a hoax made it such that they were able to meet that threshold to show that, you know, despite him being a public figure, he doesn't have those First Amendment protections. And so that's what it was, and the emotional distress that it caused to the victims' families.
Okay, thank you.
That's the basics.
And how did they arrive at this figure, 4.1 million? I mean, it seems kind of arbitrary. I understand it was just one set of parents that sued.
Yes.
Do we have any idea how? And I guess it was the judge who ordered 4.1 million, or the jury?
It was the jury.
Jury?
Yeah. So it's a punitive damages case. So punitive meaning, at least in California, there's malice, oppression, that you intended to be harmful. And oftentimes, juries are kind of on their own when they make these decisions. I mean, there's some guiding principles that the attorneys give them. It's based on, you know, sometimes, you know, when I do juries, it's based on a daily standard for how much it's going to cost me from now through the next 30 years to seek care for the and psychiatric care and psychologists. And so those people testify and they give numbers.
I see. Yeah, because the parents did testify that they were damaged, they had injury to themselves because they got threatening phone calls and letters from audience that listened to Alex Jones and believed that it was all staged. So that's the emotional distress that they suffered, right?
Correct. And that's exactly right. And so, you know, they had quantifiable damage.
Very interesting. And can now other parents sue, because there were 20 kids that got killed? So far, one parent brought the lawsuit. I assume now this opens the door to others, correct?
Yeah, they could. You know, the matter, I think the issue will be whether or not ultimately Alex Jones becomes judgment proof. Even if there's an award of, you know, $100 million, who's going to actually be able to collect? Or, is the goal here really to just teach the conspiracy theorists a lesson about what they should and should not be saying?
And that's a good point. We're going to get into that. What lesson others should take from this
Yeah.
case? Very important lesson. And speaking of judgment proof, can you just explain for our viewers, what does it mean if you're judgment proof?
Meaning you don't have the assets for someone to even be able to collect. That's what judgment proof means. So I would have an empty paper judgment to pursue you for $150 million or $4 million. That's really what that means.
So you're saying it could have been done more for the revenge and to prevent others from spewing the same conspiracy theories.
That's exactly right. And we've seen that before, right? The Cardi B trial against the YouTuber. That's a very recent example. I mean, is Cardi B ever really going to be able to collect that much money from the YouTuber? Unlikely. Does it teach a lesson? Yes.
Yeah. But what's interesting in this case that Alex Jones, right now, he pleads poverty. I saw that he filed for bankruptcy for his company.
Judgment proof.
Yeah. However, I saw an article came out this morning in Daily Mail out of UK that he personally could be worth millions because his show at some point was so popular, he was making $800,000 a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's possible he may have some cash hidden away.
Yeah.
If you were the attorney for these parents, how would you go about trying to find this hidden stash, if any?
You got to do an asset trace, bank accounts, properties, other business names, entities that he may have formed. Sometimes people form shell companies to hide their assets. So you have to have a sophisticated person on your team that could do the asset trace.
And that's something you do with the help of attorneys like yourself. You work in tandem to find these assets because people want elaborate means. Shield their assets.
And private investigators. Private investigators can really be your friends in finding these things.
Okay, very good. Hopefully they'll find what they're looking for in this case.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
Jamie, like you said yourself, this could be a tremendous lesson learned for other people who use outrageous lies and conspiracy theories to build a following, right? Why did Alex Jones do this? Why did he do it? He did it to get rich. He did it to make a name for himself, so he has more and more followers, because whenever you say something outrageous, it could catch on the internet, right? So in your view, as an attorney that does this every day, do you think now there is a way for other victims of conspiracy theories, and there've been so many in the past few years, be it from presidential elections to COVID to vaccines and so many more. Do you think if there are actual victims of such lies, they could sue as well?
Absolutely. I mean, if the language is so salacious and the person that's making the statements know beyond a shadow of a doubt that none of this is true, that absolutely opens up a window just based on the falsity of the statements being made for people to take legal action against individuals who are making the statements. So absolutely, especially when they're on the public forum and you can prove damages. I mean, the issue will always be what has the damage been to the individual.
Right. And like you said, the key has to be that these people knew that they were lying at the time. So that's something an attorney has to prove at trial, that whoever is saying these lies knows that truth. That's a hard standard to follow, but to break, but it's part of your job to do it, right?
Sometimes it is, but you know what? Somebody's got to do the dirty deed and prove it. And I think in this case, there were pages and pages of text messages that proved that he knew these statements were false.
Okay, very good. Jamie, thank you so much for such a breakdown of this case. You made it easy for us to understand.